Hey y'all, I've had the Rat for a long time. One day I went to turn it on and the effect came on and I couldn't hear anything. And then I clicked it off and then I could hear my dry signal and clicked it back on and then I could hear distortion. And it's happened intermittently where I'll turn this on and nothing happens. And then I'll snap it and then I can hear the distortion. So I'd replaced the switch with this DeMont silent switch. You can barely hear it there. And it's doing the same thing, so that's a new switch. So I think this Rat may have seen its day. I took the whole thing apart and tried to check all the solder joints and the connectors, and I can't find what it is, so I may have to replace this. So here's the new kid on the block, the Mosky Black RAT. And I'm going to give you an A-B of the tones. Just for the record, here's the clean tone. Here's a quick demo of the Rat. And here it is with the tone all the way down. Here's the Mosky with basically the same settings. This tone knob is opposite to where it cuts out the highs this way and then more highs that way. So about like that. Sounds to me like it has a lot more oomph on the bass. And turn it all the way down. I moved the tone back to where it was, and there's the turbo mode. It's a lot louder. And you can see there's a red light that comes on in here. I think there's an LED that's creating that turbo sound. So I'm going to turn this volume down a bit. That sounds like a pretty open sound. You know, it's less muffled. This is with tone all the way down. So that's the sound check. I really like this. It sounds really fat compared to the original Rat. The blue light's got to go. Like Mosky guy's got to tone that down. So I'm going to put a shield over that eventually to tone it down. But what I want to do is first replace the switch with that DeMont silent switch, and then put the 0.022 UF cap on the filter to give it some more cut, to cut off the highs, and see how that works out. Here's the guts inside the Black Rat. It indeed has that LM308 chip in there. In this picture to the left is the distortion pot, and I put 2 wires on it and tested it with a capacitor that was 0.022 microfarad, but it cut off too much of the highs, so I used a 2A103K capacitor. I think it's 0.01 microfarad, and then wired that into a switch. And as you'll see here, this light blue switch, the insulator that I put on there wasn't far up enough, but I ended up using another micro switch, and I put better insulation on there to where it doesn't touch the silver tab on the board. Here's the roadmap for the wiring. As you'll see later, I put shrink wrap on the wires going to the cap. And I got the super small micro switch. I had to bend the tabs on there. And the wires have to go toward the inside, so it'll fit in that little pocket right there. So I'm going to run the wires through and solder wires onto this distortion pot and run it up, and then solder onto the cap once this is all installed. Yeah, this is what it's going to be. So I split the wires out to where one goes to the switch and then another over here and then through the cap and then back to the switch, because it's going to be too tight to solder it directly onto the pot there. On the input jack here on the ground, I ran a wire around here over to the ground on the output, because otherwise it depends on the case. I mean, it literally bolts to the case, and that's the ground for the output. So it's better to just hardwire it in like that. Okay, here's the deal with the wiring. And I got the new switch put in there. That's the DeMont silent switch. And the red ones are the bypass wires. Success. I plugged it in and it works. So this is super cool. You can leave it on vintage. And this is without the cap filter. And they can switch it down. And it cuts off maybe 15%, I guess, of the highs, maybe 20%. Like when you have your tone all the way to the top, it'll cut some of that off. And then when you get down through here, like all the way when it's all the way with the highs cut, that's where it doesn't cut enough. And this is an extra high-end cut. And it especially works good on the turbo because that's so loud and cutting and clean, but I'll see how that works out. I almost forgot, but I went ahead and added it in. That's the 47K ohm resistor across the ground and the tip on the output to keep the switch from bouncing audibly, like when you click it. It's silent here physically, but it makes a bounce on your audio, so that's 47K ohm. I had these knobs. They came off an Amazon compressor. You may go look that up. I think this is glow in the dark. I'll try that black. I think it might look pretty cool as opposed to the white knob. But right there where the LED is, it's right in line with that knob right there. So that's kind of a pain. But my recipe is to cut out, use a hole punch with drafter's Mylar, and I punch them out and then put some Sharpie on the front and back, and then use some goop there and put it on, and put on one and then glue on the second one. All right, I got them all strapped in here. I decided to go with the white knobs. I think it'll be a lot easier to see in a dark setting. Here's the silent switch. You can hear mechanically, it's like super quiet. And I got the two shields from that Mylar on the light, and I had to face it to where the backside is higher, kind of up this way, because when you're looking down at it from here, I had to shift the little disc back this way, because if it's direct on center, you'll still see a crack of the LED light when you're looking down from here. So adjust that while you're at it. So I think this is about where we had the settings on the knobs before. This is the clean sound. And here it is with the tone all the way down. Man, that's an awesome big crunch sound. So yeah, if you were to dial this back up to medium, and this is where it gets more highs to the right. On this rat, it's not that bad. This is with all the way up. Oh, that will cut you in half. Like that, and with this high cut and with all the way back, of course it's completely muffled. So here I'll show you midways, and this is with the high cut. Doesn't sound like it cuts much, but then if you go about 45, you still have that headroom of how much highs you want. It's kind of loud compared to clean. So that's that. Let's see if we go back to normal, if it's less distortion. Just a little bit of edge. Like with a clean sound. Still plenty of highs there, but it's nice that it cuts off that real edgy thing. It's like really harsh like that. And that's pretty nice. I guess if you cut the difference, if you were to roll this back. Yeah, I guess it's about the same amount of treble as this. That's all you'd ever need for distortion. I know this might be getting old with that guitar riff, but you know, if it's all the way up, at least you have the same thing to compare to. So that's super sharp treble. That's not bad right there. That's pretty good, but that's with a load of distortion. I think my favorite might be, with this in about right here. All right, so that's that. Then there's the turbo where it turns on the red LED in there. When I had this all apart, there is two little red LEDs in there. I guess that's where the circuit is working. So if we, it's clean. That's this. So without the cut, that's pretty sharp. If we were to put the juice back in here, the outer grate gets pretty dark right there. Plenty of crunch, and this thing is louder with the turbo on. Oh man, this thing sounds great. So let's just experiment. This is with all the way up. Complete skronk. It's pretty loud like that. Just for a fair comparison, this is the mechanical of the silent switch. Here's your industry standard loud switch. the silent switch. That's the 47K ohm resistor on the inside doing that magic. So that's it.